Although a classicist and philosopher by academic training, Heinrich Cassirer dedicated the last third of his life to biblical studies. Following Cassirer's death in 1979, his friend and literary executor Ronald Wiseman strove to disseminate the remaining works. This culminated in print publication of Grace and Law, God's New Covenant, and a translation of Kant's Critique of Practical Reason. Wiseman then left a portion of his own estate to fund publication and republication of his friend's works, shortly available at Cassirer.org. Wiseman's own editorial work, and that necessitated by his bequest, is necessarily performed without direct reference to the author-cum-translator. Given the impossibility of consulting, one expert judged the obstacles to publishing Cassirer's work were practically insuperable. The fact that Cassirer's works have been published, and are again to be published, shows that the difficulties have been somehow surmounted. This video essay highlights 3 ethical conundrums from this posthumous publishing process. Cassirer began reading Paul's letters in the original Greek in his 50th year, around the time when the Revised Standard Version was published. He completed an initial draft of his own New Testament translation from Greek to English 20 years later. By the time of its posthumous publication, there was a new Revised Standard Version. In the interim, English usage had shifted from a willingness to read man as generic, compare also mankind, to a perception of this language as inextricably gendered and therefore exclusive. Cassirer's practice was aligned with 1950s English. Some felt this should be changed, as editor Wiseman resisted. Cassirer was knowingly rejecting inclusive language, he argued, having judged exclusive language appropriate to the works of a patriarchal spirit. In fact, for the published work, a compromise was reached, where Greek has anthropos, the printed English offers human being or person. But is this more inclusive version still Cassirer's New Testament? How many changes can the text take before it ceases to be Cassirer's? The monograph Grace and Law predates Cassirer's New Testament translation. Cassirer here records his understanding of Kantian and Pauline ethics in a variation on the genre of conversion biography. A third chapter considers prophetic texts, illustrated, as is Cassirer's wont, with manifold quotations. Unusually, and Cassirer himself passes remark, one passage is deemed of such interest that a single quotation covers fully 3 and a bit pages. Ezekiel 16, an extended analogy presenting the relationship of deity and people as akin to a man who rescues an abandoned baby, raises it, and then complains that the adolescent foundling is not sexually loyal. Cassirer cites this text to illustrate the intense passion with which prophets conceived of God's relationship with people. The passage, Cassirer remarks, raises no great difficulties of interpretation. Reading this text in 2019, I could not concur. Voiced from the man-deity's vantage point, Ezekiel 16 is the complaint of a disaffected groomer. How should one, could I, editorially intervene? To warn the reader, omit the text, offer some choice? Blurb on the rear cover of Grace and Law identifies Cassirer as a great Jewish philosopher. On the dust jacket of God's New Covenant, 3 of 5 endorsers refer to Cassirer's Jewishness, making clear that this is an asset to his product. One, Earl Ellis, refers also to his commitment to Jesus as Messiah, a phrase that Wiseman struck out of other marketing material. With Cassirer's widow, Olive, Wiseman had rejected one supporter's early suggestion that this work be marketed as the Jewish New Testament. Both of them made clear that Cassirer himself identified specifically as a Jewish Christian. Noticeably, that self-definition is not featured in the marketing materials. Why, one might ask, is being Jewish a marketable quality, and being on his own terms Jewish Christian apparently not? The flash essay format provides space to raise questions. It hardly permits of complex answers. If it has evoked your interest, visit Cassirer.org to learn more.